Hi, and welcome to the Super Game Bros podcast. This is episode 14 called The Backwards Experience. I'm your host, Ricky McMillan. And this week I'm joined by the ever present David Morris, and we are hoping to be joined later on by Snowy Darrock, one of the members of our writing team. Hi, David, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you, Ricky. A wee touch of the cough, the kind of seasonal lurgy is upon you. I don't know about other people, but every Christmas without fail, I end up with a cold or a cough, or if I'm really lucky, the flu. So
Yeah,
in the run up to Christmas, so I must be time to get my lurgy.
that's it. That's what it is. I think it's the same for everyone, David. I think it's the exact same for everyone. Now, this is episode 14, and this week we're actually going to be discussing backwards compatibility, Sony's version of it for the PlayStation 4. And later on, we're going to be discussing the PlayStation Experience. So join us in part one, where we are going to be discussing backwards compatibility. And just to let you know, folks, this week's episode is sponsored by G2A.com, No Scope Gaming, and Maltese.co.uk. All the links will be in the notes for the show. Thank you very much. And we're back with part one of the Super Game Bros podcast. I'm your host, Ricky McMillan. I'm joined by David Morris. And in this part, we're going to be discussing backwards compatibility, and Sony's version of it, if you can call it that. Now, before I start, and I'm going to start, David, I think it's only fair to give you a chance to see your piece on this before I start mine.
Okay, Ricky. So I think part of the challenge with all of this is that I think Xbox has set the table on this one. They have declared what they're doing as meaning backwards compatibility. And so I think that defines people's expectations as to what that is. So if you look at it then, the way to look at it is that backwards compatibility means that if you own the game physically or digitally, and it's on the list of games that you can use, then you can either download it as a digital copy, or you pop your disc in and you then download a digital copy and you can play the game. You can play the game on a bit of emulation software, which allows you to play as if you're playing on the Xbox 360. Fantastic. Wonderful. That's kind of not really what Sony seems to have done. Sony is still going down the route of, because of the PS3's architecture is so different, that it can't do backwards compatibility with the PS4. And I think that I understand that and I get that. Yeah. And they have PS Now to allow you to do that, but PS Now is expensive. So so you own a game. What would it have cost Sony in terms of actual loss of income to say, do you know what, see if you pop your disc into your PS4 and we have that available as a PS Now title, you'll be able to play it via PS Now and we won't charge you for it, which would have been a kind of an equivalent thing to do. But no, they're not doing that. They're charging you for it. And then we get the announcement about PS2 games. And it was kind of fudged. I think the announcement didn't get handled particularly well. But essentially, they're going to run emulation for a limited number of PS2 games and charge you $10 to $15 a pop to play games, regardless of whether or not you already own it. And I was sitting there kind of slightly flabbergasted thinking, do they really think that people are so desperate to play their old games that they'll pay money hand over fist to do it? And I thought, there must be some sort of payoff to this. There must be something else that you get over and above what is appearing to be on the surface here, which is you get an old game and you get to play it on your new console, but I have to pay for the privilege of doing that. And it's like, sorry, I don't get that. I don't understand that. Now, I don't have a PS4. I don't know the PlayStation infrastructure that well, but really and truly, it struck me as being a bit of a phenomenal own goal to be doing that right about the time, a few weeks just after Xbox has pushed out 104 titles for free.
Yeah, and complete agree. And I would actually go much further, David. Sony announced PlayStation Now last year. And then they mentioned, then they started getting regarding proper, true, in my opinion, backwards compatibility, which is you've got a disc, put it in your machine, you can play the game that's on that disc, regardless of whether it's PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2. Just like yourself, I understand that it's very difficult for them, hardware-wise, to emulate the PlayStation 3, and therefore that's what PlayStation Now is for. But I want to cover a point that you made yourself, David, that PlayStation Now is quite expensive, and it is. And if we're perfectly honest, PlayStation 3 owners don't have to pay to play online, whereas PlayStation 4 owners do. Yet, PlayStation Network, in regards to PlayStation 4 anyway, there seems to be issues security-wise, whether it stays, up and running on any given week of the year, that sort of thing. And that is not myself that's found those problems. It's other people, with the exception of last Christmas, the various and many blackouts that the PlayStation Network has had over the past year or so. I've really been affected by it. But then I'm not like a lot of gamers. I'm not on my PlayStation all day.
Ricky, your mic's maybe a wee bit far away because your audio's quite quiet.
How's that?
That's much better, thank you.
Sorry about that, folks. As I was saying, so PlayStation 3 owners, they don't have to pay for the PlayStation Network, to play online, multiplayer, whatever. Whereas PlayStation 4 owners do. Now, but in regards to PlayStation 4, I personally think, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners will agree with me, that the PlayStation Network is very poor. Very, very poor. And personally, I would rather use the money that I pay out for PlayStation Plus and use it on PlayStation Now. Right? Because some of the best games of all time are on PlayStation Now. In my opinion anyway, Shadow of the Colossus, to name one. But the crux of the matter is backwards compatibility, as it was announced just before PlayStation Experience. So, on the night before, Luke Mears, Serum Lake on Twitter, and to be perfectly honest, Luke's a very nice guy. I've spoken to him a few times, but only on Twitter, and he's a nice guy, and he works for Sony and customer relations and that side of things. And he just, like you said, David, it was quietly announced, oh, look, we've got these 8 backwards compatibility titles. Go and have a look. So I went and had a look. I'm thinking, yeah, beauty. I looked at the list and I'm going, I've got that game, I've got that game, I've got that game. I can get a line of that and I can get a line of that. So there's 5 games on the list of 8 that I either own or I can get a line of. So I should be able to just put them in my PlayStation 4 and carry on regardless. No. I've got to pay for these. And I'm like, right, so I've already forked out money for Grand Theft Auto, Vice City. I've already forked out money for that many, many years ago on the PlayStation 2. And I'm now being told that I've got to fork out more money for an upscaled version of a game I've already got. Why would I want to? I don't want to play the upscaled version. I want to play the disc I've got.
One of the and I'm going to call it an excuse because I think it is one of the excuses being touted around was that you only paid for that to play on your PS2, not on your PS4. Well, I'm calling bullshit on that. I'm sorry. You bought the game. You own a license to play the game. The hardware that you play it on, frankly, is entirely up to you. If you think of PC owners, if you look at the Steam analogy, you own the license to the game, you can play it. You can play it on any machine that you're logged into. Yeah?
Yes.
So why would it be any different? And that's what I don't understand. I just don't understand this mentality that, oh, we've added trophies, which I'm assuming that's the equivalent of achievements. Yeah?
Yes, it is. And personally, I don't care.
For old games, I really don't. I don't know many people who would be wanting to do like the complete achievement or trophy rack for a particular game. Maybe some people do, and I know there's guys out there who are very keen on that. Yes. For me, it's never been an important part of the experience of a game. I don't do much in the way of going back and trying to get 1,000 gamer score on Xbox for games.
I'm much the same, David.
I want to enjoy the game for the experience. I completed Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, which, by the way, is a completely fabulous game. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful game. And foreshadowing what we're going to be talking about next week, is one of my contenders for Game of the Year. Brilliant game. But when I finished it, I got a gamer score of 360 out of a possible 1,000. This is not even, well, that's just the single player stuff. This is, you've got all the multiplayer, because there is no multiplayer. So there's a ton of things for me to still go and do in that game to finish it off.
Yeah.
So
well, here's how much of a trophy hunter I'm not. The other day, I put on Until Dawn for the first time ever, and I've done a 2-hour live stream of it. And I do have to say, and I really have to say this, I've only played 2 hours of the game so far, and I'm not going to say where I am in the game, because I'm going to make it a series of live streams once a week for the next couple of weeks. But it's fantastic. It really is. It's wonderful. The thing about it was that it wasn't until after I'd finished, playing that night and turned the stream off and all that, and I was sitting, I was going, here, wait a minute. I should have had a couple of trophies for this. Even if it was just one basically saying, oh, you've completed the tutorial.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems that every game's got that. But I'm not a trophy hunter, so I didn't even bother, going to check. It wasn't until the next day that I decided, right, I'm going to have a look at my trophies and compare them with a friend of mine who was in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've went on, we've checked it. And that was the first time I noticed that I had the platinum for Rocket League. And I'm thinking, when did that happen? Because usually there's a big giant notification. When I've turned my notifications off for my trophies, so I didn't even know I had another platinum. I'm going, oh, great, hey, brilliant. But it's not something I'm going to go and shout to the world. Oh, I've got 2 platinums. I know people who have got 65 platinums. I know of at least one guy who's got 100 platinums. None of that matters. It's all irrelevant.
Yeah, because what you can't do is to say that is the only way to validate your experience for playing the game.
Exactly.
Is by trophies or gamer score. Because it's complete bullshit. Do you know what? See, if you spend 2 hours playing a game and you get diddly squat in terms of achievements or whatever, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Did you enjoy yourself? Did you have a fun time? Did you enjoy it? It's the fundamental question. And if you did, then fantastic. Big smile, happy person. I'm not remotely fussed about that. Now, there are a couple of games where I've gone back and tried to go in and round out the outstanding achievements. But mostly because those games were, do you know what, I think I'm missing out on something in the game if I don't go and explore, look at this thing or look at that particular piece. So it's been very, in some instances, yes, it's a useful thing, but a lot of instances, I really don't give a stuff. I'm sure there are games out there where I've completed it and I've played loads of multiplayer and it's been like, you get about 400 on a scale of, 1,250 gamer score. I don't care. I just don't care. I'm just happy. I want to have fun. I want to enjoy playing the game.
So they announced, as you said, they announced the trophies, they announced the upscaled graphics. Now, personally, after PlayStation 4 was launched, I created a petition, and it got just under 1,000 names regarding backwards compatibility. And I was specifically talking about local disc backwards compatibility, i.e., you get a disc, you put it in, you play.
Sure.
And that's what I was wanting. And this backwards compatibility, this isn't what I was expecting. I don't care.
I would suggest to you that it's not backwards compatibility at all.
It's not. It's just basically old games.
Old games for sale.
It's cheap versions of remasters. That is, if you ask my opinion, that's what it is. Sony are selling people cheap versions of popular games. Cheap remasters are popular games, and they're not even full remasters.
If you want to talk about remasters, I think, again, I'll reflect on my Xbox experience here, so apologies for talking Xbox. Look at what they did with Halo and Halo 2, completely redone from the ground up, all new art, some new cutscenes, done a lovely, lovely job in terms of kind of recreating those games in a more modern image, which I think is fantastic. And given that those games were part of the original Xbox, that's a fantastic way to go. If you want to look at what they've done with Gears of War Ultimate Edition, Gears being a very favourite 360 title, it's amazing. And what they've done with it is they've turned it into a truly beautiful game. That's remastered. Turning up the resolution is not remastered.
No, exactly. And just to let you know, folks, we've actually been joined by Snowy Derek. How are you doing, Snowy? Oh, Snowy seems to be having microphone issues there. Now, I'll get back to what I was saying. So, they're not giving us true backwards compatibility. And one of the 8 games is my favourite game of all time, which is Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
Yet, they announced last year that we were getting a PC port of Final Fantasy VII.
Mm-hmm.
Yet they've lumped that in with these backwards compatibility games. It's not backwards compatible because it was something we were already going to be getting.
Sure.
We knew we had to pay for Final Fantasy VII. That's why I wouldn't mind paying for Final Fantasy VII, because I know it's the PC port. I was expecting to pay for it, and I'm expecting to pay for the fully remastered Super Duper episodic edition. And for all those people who are cracking up about the fact that Final Fantasy VII is going to be episodic, you don't know the amount of content that they're going to give you. The original game, it had so much content in it, and that was only over 3-4 discs. You're sitting there and people are going blah 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 blah, and I'm thinking,
I don't think you should prejudge it, because
that's it.
As we've said in a previous show, episodic content can be done really, really well.
Yes, Telltale games.
Yeah, you've got the Telltale stuff. You've got Life is Strange, another candidate for Game of the Year. For me, episodic content doesn't necessarily equate to a game that's being lumped to extend the work. It might be there's just too much content at that kind of high scale resolution to fit into a single disc.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's it exactly, David. Now the other thing, well, they have already said that. They says, look, there's that much in the original game that if we're doing everything, we're remastering everything. So it's going to get to the point that, for instance, the Gold Saucer. I don't know if you ever played the original Final Fantasy VII.
I haven't. I mean, I know that people have been getting very excited about it, so I'm prepared to trust the judgment of kind of people out there. It's not just the usual fanboy base. There are people who are very excited about Final Fantasy VII. But that's great. Let's just see it. I'm hearing that it will come eventually to Xbox, and if it does, that's great. I can look forward to it. From that perspective, it's completely fine.
Yeah, well, there's a part of the game where you spend some time in an area called the Golden Saucer, and it's a casino, right? And there's like 7 or 8 activities to do in it. Now, I'm thinking to myself, there are games that have came out, that are like full price games that don't even have as much content in it as just that one tiny section of this huge giant game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, the Gold Saucer itself, fully remastered and all that, because there's like a snowboarding game in there, there's a fighting game in there, there's card games, there's racing, you race chocobos in the Gold Saucer, there's all that. All that's just in the Gold Saucer. There's like 8 activities to do in the Gold Saucer. That's just the equivalent of one game.
And if you do that right with all the necessarily elements that need to be built and done at the appropriate resolution, that all takes up space. Do you end up with a game that runs to about 120 gigabytes to put into a single release, which might be okay, but as a download, that sounds like a pretty daunting proposition.
Yeah, and for a lot of people who have extremely slow connections,
well, exactly.
It'll take weeks to download. That's if they download it.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone manufactures a disc that's 120 gigs in size. So
no, that feels like that's at least 2, possibly 3 game discs to install on your local drive.
We digress a little. Going back to backwards compatibility. Now, I put a giant post on Facebook, and it was in a group, in a PlayStation group, and I actually got what you would term a fair response,
mm-hmm.
because they read it, with the exception of one person, But a lot of people read it and their comments were constructive. But again, all these things are subjective and are based on your perception and your point of view. Now, my point of view, my final judgment about Sony's backwards compatibility, and this is where I tear them a new one, and this is simply because I got contacted on the same night that I spoke to Luke Mears regarding backwards compatibility by Shuei Yoshida at Yosp on Twitter, the head man of Sony,
Sure.
or PlayStation, with the excuse that they had to upgrade them. They upscaled the graphics. That's why we have to pay for like the backwards compatible Vice City, backwards compatible Grand Theft Auto 3 and San Andreas as well. And what I asked Shuei Yoshida, Adam Boyes and Luke Mears in the same tweet, all three of them were, they were mentioned in it, was who asked you to upscale the graphics? And I'm still waiting on a reply to that.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on a reply to that. Now, Sony can say what they want. A lot of people who listen to this won't agree with what I'm about to say, but the single reason for the upscaling graphics and the main reason why we have to pay money to play games that we've already got is the younger generation of gamer. Guys for our generation, David, we've already played these games. We've already completed these games. We were happy with the graphics at the time, right? And to be perfectly honest, graphics doesn't matter as far as I'm concerned. All that matters when I play a video game is, am I having fun? If I'm not having fun, I'm not going to play that game. It's that simple.
For sure.
As far as I'm concerned, this is aimed solely and squarely at the younger gamer whose mum and dad, with being Christmas round the corner, mum and dad, couple extra bucks spare every week. Oh, here, there, go get yourself a new game. Get yourself a new game.
Here's a $10 game. Here's a $10 game.
Yes, because these are the people that are going to complain about the graphics. The original Final Fantasy VII had 16-bit graphics, right? It was it was blocky in places, right?
Sure.
That doesn't matter to me. It's still Final Fantasy VII. It's still my most favourite game of all time. I don't care about the graphics. I'm still going to sit and I'm going to complete that, and I'm going to find everything. I'm going to get Knights of the Round, and I'm going to max it out, and this, that, and the other. And there's all sorts that I could say. The simple fact is, Sony have hit out with excuse after excuse. For instance, as you mentioned earlier, the licenses. Yes, we understand that Sony had licenses to publish those games, but only for the PlayStation 2. And do they seriously think that these companies like Rockstar North and Take-Two, who own Rockstar, are going to turn around and say, well, we want you to pay for an extra license for Grand Theft Auto Vice City because it's now playable on the PlayStation 4? Are they hell? What they're going to do is they're going to say, how much are you charging them? What's your cut? Why then? That's what they're going to do.
That's what they want to know.
They're not going to want new licenses signed. If they were going to want a new license signed, why is the game a tenner? It's nothing to do with licenses. It's not even anything to do with upscaling. What Sony have done is they, in my opinion, they have aimed this squarely at the people who will complain about high-def graphics and the frame rate, things that don't actually matter. They've aimed this at them and they've went, here is 8 games, enjoy. Right, and we'll give you some more down the line. Right? And the problem with that is, what they're doing is they're forgetting that the biggest crux of that, or the biggest users, the biggest user base that they've got for the PlayStation 4 are guys and women over the age of 25. So it's the older gamer who is their main audience.
Yeah.
But they are aiming their backwards compatibility at a younger audience, at a bunch of gamers who some of them might not even remember the original Final Fantasy VII. You know what I mean? Anybody under the age of 15 won't. So what the hell is the point in upscaling the graphics for guys like me who don't care? There isn't any. We didn't ask for the graphics to be upscaled. And if you look, as you rightly pointed out, the Xbox backwards compatibility, to me that's a fantastic model compared to Sony's. But again, none of the two of them is true backwards compatibility. True backwards compatibility, the only company that's done that right is, this generation and even last generation is Nintendo, and that's it. Nobody else. Nintendo are the only people that have got that get what the people want right. The difference is to me, like the Sony consoles and the Microsoft consoles, they're aimed for like the solo gamer. Nintendo have went, this is a family-based machine, so we're going to carve out our own wee niche here, and we're going to keep that niche, and nobody's going to be able to take that off us. And we're going to do that by doing this and giving them that. And backwards compatibility is free on the Wii U. Hell, it's free on the Xbox. But we've got to pay for it on PlayStation. Are they kidding us with that? It's even though Sony is spelled S-O-N-Y, it should be spelled S-O-N-E-A, because that's the kind of nonsense move that I would expect out of a company like EA and not Sony. You know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, if you look at the publishers who have signed up to doing backwards compatibility, I'm hearing a bit of noise on the chat, and I think Snowy's trying to join us.
Yes.
It's not working particularly well at the moment. Let's just put it that way. If you look at the publishers that are involved in that, even Activision's putting a game into the Xbox 360 backwards compatibility list. The original Black Ops is going to be coming out, I think, December. So the first Black Ops, which I thought was a cracking game, is going to be on backwards compatibility. Merry Christmas, everybody!
Yes,
and that's Activision's doing that. Which if there are companies out there who you could depend on to ask you to pay more money to do this stuff, you would look at EA and you would look at Activision, and both of them have supported backwards compatibility in one form or another.
Yes.
EA have done it with Mass Effect, and I think the complications there are that it was Microsoft, I think, originally published it, but they've talked to EA, because what you don't want to do is have the first game and then the second and third not happening. So I think there's been some discussion around about that.
Yeah.
So if those companies,
the first Mass Effect, that's a tangled web of.
Oh gosh.
Whoever it is that actually owns that, I don't even think the person who owns that or the people who own that know that they own that.
You're probably right, but here's the thing, Ricky. I've played Mass Effect on my Xbox One from an Xbox 360 disc. So it's like, and it was brilliant. I had fabulous fun playing that game. It's a game I could play again and again and again. Hey, that's how that stuff's meant to work. Excuse me,
that's okay. But that's the thing. See if Sony turned around and says, put the game disc in, you get an emulator. Boom shakalaka, there, play the game. I wouldn't mind that, even if they copied the Microsoft thing. That wouldn't bother me, because it's closer to true backwards compatibility than what I had before. What annoys me about this is, to me, this seems to be a move that is aimed completely and squarely at gamers under the age, say, 20. The ones who complain that it's no high def, that it isn't 60 frames or 30 frames or 2 million frames a second or whatever.
And here's the thing, Ricky, they may well have the pester power to get parents to go and buy games and be vocal about it on social media, but the people with the real purchasing power, dare I say it, are people with the grey hair. The folks who have got the real purchasing power for the older games catalogues will be guys like you and me who have been gaming for a long time and will look at a game on a catalogue and go, man, I would love to play that again, and I don't want to have to go. I only have an Xbox One now. All the other previous consoles that I've had in my past, including, I might add, a PlayStation, the PlayStation 1, they've all been traded in. A Mega Drive, which I had purely to play Madden, and thoroughly enjoyed that. Those games, for me, they were they were fun, and I enjoy them for what they are. They don't need to be uprated, upgraded, upraised. Conceptually, they're fine as they are. I think Microsoft's got that. I think Sony has completely got the wrong end of the stick on this one. So as another way to try and generate some cash. And there's a narrative going around just now, and I don't know how true or otherwise it is that because of all the money that's been sunk into VR, there's no money to spend on anything else.
Well, that wouldn't actually surprise me because of what we saw at PlayStation Experience, but we'll talk about that in part two. Now, I think we can come to the end of part one there by concluding that Sony's backwards compatibility and the whole pay-to-play model that they're using is A, a joke, and B, it's aimed at the younger gamer. I think we can safely say that.
I think that's a reasonable supposition, because I think most of the gamers who've played these games in the original form are not going there saying, why am I not getting 60 frames per second here? Why does this look like an old game? It's because it is an old game, do you know, so accept it as what it is, do you know?
That's it exactly. Now, folks, that's the end of part one. Join us again in part two, where we're going to be talking about the PlayStation Experience. But if you've got any questions regarding part one or any of our other shows, then you can contact us at sgb@ramblemedia.co, or you can contact myself directly on Twitter at Papachi03. And remember, this week, Super Game Bros is sponsored by Maltese.co.uk, G2A.com, and No Scope Gaming Glasses. Join us in part two, where we're going to be talking PSX. Hi, and welcome back to part two of the Super Game Bros. This is episode 14. This is the backwards experience. And in this part, we're going to be discussing the PlayStation Experience. Now, this week, it's just myself and David, and we have been joined by one of our staff writers, Snowy Darroch, but Snowy's having some issues with her microphone, and I'm sure we can all forgive her for that. So, David, did you see anything of PSX? Being an Xbox fan, you know, or not so much a fan, but being an Xbox user, I don't suppose PSX was the kind of thing that would, interested you.
I actually watched it.
Did you watch it?
I watched the keynote. I was kind of interested to see what they were going to do, because Sony's narrative since last year, since 2014, has been jam tomorrow. Sony's narrative has been, we've got good stuff coming, wait till you see us at E3, and then at E3, wait till you see us at Paris Games Week, and then at Paris Games Week, wait till you see us at PSX. And I was looking at that, and my frame of reference is actually things like looking at the 2016 games that are coming out for Xbox and all the AAA titles that belong there. And I'm thinking to myself, am I missing something here? Is there a pile of games that are being done for Sony for next year, or are we literally saying, guys, you're going to get next year's Call of Duty, you're going to get Battlefront 2 or Battlefront 2A, you're going to get more Destiny, but do you know what, we might scrape out a couple of first party games and everything else is going to be VR, which about 5%, if they're lucky, of their user base will be using. And at that point I'm thinking, why would people, if you were sitting down and you were picking a console to buy today and looking at what's coming up next year, I would have to say to somebody who's saying, I'm picking the PlayStation, sorry, do you not like games? Are you not interested in getting games? Different for people who already own the console, I get that. But for somebody who's coming in new, I got to look at that and think, man, there's nothing there. There is nothing there.
But I understand exactly what you're saying. I think what Sony did was at E3, as the saying goes, they shot their load at E3. They went, this is what we're getting in Q4, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at games like The Last Guardian, the Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy 15, Shenmue 3, Mafia 3.
Yeah.
Right? And even though Mafia 3 will be out on Xbox as well, and it does actually, the Mafia games have always played really well, David, and if you've
Sure.
never played one,
I'm sure I played one of the Mafia games on the 360 and enjoyed it.
I know that Mafia 2 was Xbox Games with Gold game last year, so it may have been that. But if you've never played one before, I highly recommend the Mafia games. Brilliant games. But I digress. So I think they shot, as I said, I think they shot the load at E3 and went, these are the games we're getting in Q4. Because after that, we had Gamescom, where they went, here's some more of the games that we've already told you about, Dreams and that sort of thing. And they're all coming in Q4.
So the Sony representation at Gamescom was they had their stand and they had consoles for people to come and play stuff, but there was no keynote.
Yes.
There was no demonstration.
Exactly.
So
because
Microsoft had open field at that to talk about its 2016 games.
Yes. And on top of that, that is where, of course, Microsoft announced backwards compatibility as well. And that,
they announced it at E3, and then they put a time frame on it at Gamescom and rolled it out last month.
Yes, last month.
Although if you've been on the preview program like I have, which is the kind of beta testing for the console, I've had it since E3 and been playing games since E3, and it's been working perfectly fine.
Well,
but we digressed.
Yeah,
we digress.
The point is, they told us all this great stuff, and then they went, Paris Games Week, loads on VR. PSX, loads on VR, including a live tech demo that failed. And I'm thinking, I'm not interested in VR. I don't care. Where's the games where I can look forward to, and I can put a disc in, and I can sit down with my wife or with the kids or whatever, and sit and play a game or get drawn into a story or this, that, and the other. That's not me saying that I want every game to be The Last of Us or this or that or the other, but to me, PSX was just a rehash of Paris Games Week, which was just more VR. And as you said, not a lot of their user base is going to be using VR. For the first 6 months, it's going to be a novelty. And then just like the original Kinect, boom, after 6 months, dead in the water.
If you don't have a couple of million people with headsets within a very short time frame, as a publisher, why would you support it? Because you'll have no one to buy your games.
Exactly, but they've announced that there's over 200 games. Over 200 games in development for VR.
See, that just beggars belief, because unless a substantial chunk of those games can be played without the VR headset and the VR interface, the controllers and what have you, if you can't play it without that, then you're really severely limiting yourself as to who your audience might be. I don't really give a damn that Sony may have sold 30 million consoles. If you've got 250,000 people with a Sony VR headset, that's your audience.
That's it.
And as I think Microsoft has shown, even with all the resources in the world to throw at trying to make a peripheral like Kinect, unless you make it an integral part of the gaming experience and it really, really works and it deepens the in-game experience for you, then it will fail spectacularly. And that's without us even talking about things like the motion sickness problems, which the only way to beat motion sickness is to run it at a very high frame rate and a very high resolution. Otherwise, it just confuses the hell out of people.
Yes, exactly. And as we know, one of our staff has actually used a VR headset, and he says that he can use it after 15 minutes. And the other thing is the weight of these headsets and that sort of thing as well. People aren't going to want to sit with a headset on for an hour, 2 hours. I mean, could you imagine? There's lots of 13-year-olds who sit and play games for hours and hours on end, and I'm not advocating that, because I know the proper procedure. 45 minutes, take a 15-minute break.
Sure.
And I will always advocate 45 minutes, take a break. 45 minutes, take a break. That's why it's always good to have a couple of people in your house at the same time who all play video games, because you can always hand the joypad over.
Sure.
Now, but to be perfectly honest, you've got all these 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, whose mum and dad will go out and they'll buy them the VR headset. Because these 13, 14-year-olds are expecting to play your Call of Duties, your Grand Theft Autos and that, VR compatible or VR versions. Being told, there's over 200 games. Yeah,
and do you know what? Games. If they're lucky, they'll get to play Call of Duty VR in 5 years' time.
Exactly.
I reckon, because there won't be enough people owning there won't be enough people who will own the headset to make it worthwhile. It'll be ridiculous.
That's it. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? And I'll be the first to admit it. At first, when they announced, when they says, "Oh, we've got this thing, and it's called Project Morpheus, and it's a VR headset," I thought, brilliant. They're forward thinking because VR's the next thing. And then I seen something else, and I went, "It's over. It's all completely over." Right? And I'm going to make a prediction right now, and this prediction will be proved right in just under a year, or just over a year, I should say. At E3 2016, next year, Sony will have their keynote, or PlayStation will do their keynote, Xbox will do theirs, Nintendo will go, "This is the NX," and everybody will be like, "Oh, it looks cool." I mean, they've patented a controller design that makes the controller, it's still got like joysticks and buttons, but the buttons, it's a touch screen.
Yeah.
So the whole controller's a touch screen except for the joysticks.
Yeah, I've seen that. And again, the patenting it doesn't necessarily translate into that's what you'll get. But the fact that Nintendo, once again, are pushing the boundaries in terms of kind of how you experience your games, I like that. I like to see them kind of, pushing things a little bit different.
It's innovative if they do that, I think. I was expecting the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One joypad to at least have smart screen technology. But hey, that was just me. So with this, with the sharp screen technology that Nintendo may be using, I'm thinking, maybe Nintendo they're actually going to try and compete now. And then I seen Magic Leap, and I went, "It's over." It truly is. Magic Leap is augmented reality. You can go to their website right now, magicleap.com, and check it out. They've already said that they're hoping to release a unit that you can use at home next Christmas, or next holidays, as they put it, because they're a American-based company. This thing is awesome. 360, complete 360 augmented reality environments appearing in your living room. Can you beat that?
With a headset, or is it projected?
It's projected. And it looks fantastic. And it's projected without the need for having glasses or anything like that. Magic Leap are the first company that have got that right.
I mean, if they can do that and they can bring it to market at something under, I guess, $500 would be probably the critical price point, then they might well have a real winner there. If it's going to be super expensive up front, then it'll be the hobbyist that will buy it.
I agree with that there. And I actually asked Magic Leap that, and what they've said is they are trying to do a number of units. You know how we keep hearing rumours about Steam boxes and things like that, and how you can get one at this much, and you can get another one at this much, and another one at that much, and they all do the same thing, just better. Well, Magic Leap have done something quite similar. There's a box for at home, and there's a box that's much more expensive that you can do much more with. But they're aiming for not so much it's not a console. It will be a console, but they're not, aiming for the console game market the way we know it, where you sit with a joypad and that sort of thing.
Sure.
They're aiming to basically create an entire brand new market. And as a business guy, you yourself, how difficult something like that can be. But they have, as they used to say in the $6 Million Man, they have the technology.
I think that's one to watch then. Clearly one to watch. My kind of immediate concerns are cost per unit early on. How do you get it to mass market? How do you differentiate it from your PlayStations, your Xboxes? If I've got one of these, how much better is my experience? What types of games are going to be playing? A lot of questions to be answered on that one. And we won't go. We'll save that for another day. But
as I said, they'll announce something at E3 regarding its release date, and you'll see another tech demo. And their first tech demo was spectacular. And they'll probably show you another demo. They'll show you the unit. They'll show you what you need to use to control it, that sort of thing.
Sure.
And they'll probably announce a price as well. But that'll be for one of the basic home units. They'll obviously later on there'll be bigger and better units that'll be much more expensive because you can do so much more. But we digress. Going back to PSX, all PSX was, to me anyway, was just a rehash of Paris Games Week. There was nothing new except for Ni no Kuni 2.
Yeah. And if you're not necessarily familiar with the first game, it's like, and I have to say there was some stuff happening on Twitter while I was out watching the keynote, and there were some people saying these people would applaud a man coming on stage and breaking wind because they seem to applaud absolutely anything and go nuts. It was quite bizarre. I mean, for me, I'm going to cover a list of games here, Bricky.
Yes.
Quantum Break, Below, Recore, Crackdown 3, Forza Horizon 3, Halo Wars 2, Cuphead, Ashen, Scalebound, Gears of War 4, Sea of Thieves, Inside, all for Xbox in 2016.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All exclusively for Xbox in 2016. And then on top of that, you will have whatever happens with Destiny, whatever happens with Call of Duty, and all those other multiplats. You'll have things, Mirror's Edge 2 coming out, which I think looks to be a cracking game, but hey, we can all look forward to that. And I'm sitting here as an Xbox owner going, I won't be able to keep up with this. I literally won't be able to keep up with this. Of that list, there's about 8 of them that I would actually really want to play.
Yes.
And, and over a 12-month period, I think there is a growing gap, and whether that perception makes its way over or not, but there's a growing gap in terms of the games available and the range of games available to the respective platforms. Because unless there's an awful lot starts to happen in the first half of next year and there's big announcements at E3, PlayStation owners are going to be sitting there looking at that going, right, I can't play that, I can't play that. I think there's a growing gap in terms of the titles that you'll be able to play.
So do I. But then there are exclusives that are coming to PlayStation that will make people, that will sell the console. And
sure,
for companies like Microsoft and PlayStation, that's it. Or I should say Xbox and PlayStation, that's exactly what they need. Do we, as any of the titles that are coming up, console sellers? And the answer from Xbox point of view, Quantum Break, yes. Scalebound, yes. Recore, probably. Sony, on the other hand, we're getting Uncharted 4, which is a system seller. The Last Guardian, people will go out and buy consoles just to play a game they've waited 11 years for. Final Fantasy VII Complete Remake, yes, episodic or not, it will sell consoles. And all 3 of them are exclusive to PlayStation. Then, of course, you've got No Man's Sky, which is a PlayStation exclusive. Hello Games, I have no idea if they've even considered putting it on the Xbox. I don't know if it's Killstream.
I have a prediction about Final Fantasy VII, though, Ricky, is I don't think you'll see it next year. I think it's going to be 2017 before we see that.
Do you think so?
That's my prediction.
Right, well, you heard it here first, folks, and if David's right, you can all lynch him.
I'm sorry. I mean, I absolutely think, it looks, the potential for it looks fantastic, but since the reveal trailer at E3 right up to PSX, we've seen, a little bit of gameplay?
Yes, and that was at PSX. But the
PSX.
funny thing is, Now, a lot of people who are listening probably don't know how people inside the industry or people who work on the sites and that sort of thing, how we get our information. And we get it straight for the horse's mouth, press releases, that sort of thing. And I received a press release from Square Enix, and I read an interview with a member of staff at Square Enix last week, where they basically say, look, Final Fantasy VII, the complete rebuild of the game, shall we say, half of that is ready. Half of that's ready to go out.
Mm-hmm.
We're working on the other half. So if half of the game's ready, that explains why it's episodic content. Because it was announced 2 years ago. People aren't going to want to hang about for another year and a half to play a game, you know?
For sure.
So what they're going to do is they're going to go, right, well, if we've got one half of the game ready, we can put that out in 2 episodes. And the last half of the game in 2 episodes. They might be 6 months apart. Not the episodes, but the complete, the full thing might take 6 months for you to have.
Sure.
But it'll be worth it because the chances are, I'm hoping they go for the model where you pay X amount for episode 1 and then the rest of them are free. Because to me, that's the only fair thing to do. But that's just my opinion. The fact is that, like you said, there are a lot of exclusives coming out, particularly on the Xbox One, that are going to make people, particularly next year, that are going to make people sit up and take notice, especially if, from what we're seeing at PSX and at Paris Games Week, all Sony seem to have, or all PlayStation seem to have, is VR titles. Now, I don't know if what you said earlier on is true, David, about, they've put all the money into VR and there's nothing left. I don't know if that's true. I can't say one way or another. But what I can say is I hope that isn't true, because if it is, I think in about 2 years' time, Sony and PlayStation particularly, there's going to be a lot of people getting laid off. And things like that, it should start at the top, and it'll be the people at the bottom that'll
Sure.
be first.
Sure. Yeah.
And I personally, VR, to me, VR's just, it's more a gimmick than anything else now. We got saturated with it that much in the lead up to E3 this year that we knew there was going to be some big announcement about VR, whether it be the Oculus Rift, whether it be PlayStation VR, whether it be, what was the thing Microsoft are doing, the HoloLens, is it?
Yeah, so HoloLens, which is augmented reality.
Yeah, technology.
But I think HoloLens, the principal application for HoloLens is going to be industry, science. They've put 2 headsets up to the International Space Station. They're there, and they have a number of applications, one of which is what they call the remote expert application, where the person on the ground, who is the expert on the system, talks to the astronaut in the air, and HoloLens projects things like helpful on-screen prompts, or it'll say to you, turn this screw in this direction, or set this to this figure. So instead of them having to go with big paper manuals or iPads or whatever else, they wear the headset, and the headset projects the stuff for them. Remote expert. I've seen a video of it for someone who was doing a plumbing problem, and we're showing how to replace a U-bend under a sink. But clearly there's much greater potential for that.
Yeah. But with VR, because we were saturated with it, a lot of people went, more VR. And all they've done since then is go VR. To me, it seems that what Sony are doing is they're hinging the entire future of PlayStation on how popular VR is going to be initially. Because I think after 6 months, maybe a year at the most, a lot of people are going to be going, no. Because in the first year, is it going to be the same as PlayStation 4? The first 2 years, dump a load of games on people that make you want to go and buy the console, that make you want to go and buy the game, and then nothing for a whole year. Because that's what's happened this year. There hasn't been anything, PlayStation talking about, other sites and that are talking about their Game of the Year, and we'll be doing a Game of the Year edition next week. And that'll just be the whole thing is going to be about the Game of the Year, or what we would say is the Game of the Year. But the way that it's been is that no one's talking about any of the exclusive games being games of the year. Not even Halo 5. They're talking things like Arkham Knight, Fallout 4, The Witcher 3, which, to be fair, is probably not so much the fairest thing to do, but it is probably the right thing to do. When you consider this year for exclusive, both Xbox and PlayStation have been exceptionally poor, especially in regards to the number of delays and cancellations and games that have been moved and this, that, and the other. I think Halo 5 is probably the biggest exclusive that Xbox have released, and I know that Rise of the Tomb Raider is a timed exclusive, but I don't count that as a complete exclusive. PlayStation will have that next year. My point is that I wanted PlayStation experience. They built it up by saying, "Oh, we're going to wow you," and this, that, and the other. And basically, what they've done is they showed us they've done Paris Games Week, just in a different order, and with two guys whose tech demo or something that looked like it was for Tron.
Failed miserably. Oh, I mean, it was embarrassing to see how that worked or didn't work.
25 minutes they spent trying to sort that while they were on stage. 25 minutes of a keynote address spent on a failure. Now, I'm not saying Microsoft would have done the old hook for the corner trick, but they'd moved it on.
Absolutely, they would have maybe said, "You know what? We'll come back to that. Well, once we've got it,
yes,
we've got some issues."
Sony didn't have, or PlayStation, I should say, didn't have anything waiting in the wings. The keynote address ended very abruptly.
I know, and there was nonsense said afterwards where he said the video that they were doing for the final game that was in the reveal, and I forget the name of the title. And it looked interesting. But to then say that there was nothing more needed to be said after that video, like that was a drop the mic moment. I don't think so. I really don't.
Exactly. And to me, it's been evident over the last 2 or 3 months that Sony are hedging all their bets on VR being a success, and they're hedging all their bets on that based on the feedback they're getting from a small minority of PlayStation users. Because these companies forget, not everyone is on Twitter. Not everyone has a Facebook. Not everyone gives a damn about feedback surveys that they get sent out in email addresses. A lot of people don't have any of that. They don't care about any of that. They just want to go and buy a game, put it in their console and play it. And Sony, for the very start, PlayStation says, for the players. Well, I'm one of the players, and what I'm seeing that they're doing, whether it be paid for backwards compatibility, ridiculous as that is, yes, folks, that is what you're paying for. It's backwards compatibility. It's not backwards compatibility because it's essentially a remaster. Poor remasters, but a remaster all the same. What I'm seeing is I'm a player, and nothing that's coming out, with the exception of 4 games next year, am I interested in? 4 games out of a whole year's worth of releases.
I really, truly think that the PlayStation plans, as we see them at the moment, leave console owners very shortchanged next year. And everything is hedged on timed exclusives with third parties, because that's simpler and probably less expensive to do than it is to invest in a first party studio development.
Yes. Sony Santa Monica, they were hyping something up, something rotten, teasing people, and people are going, "Oh, God of War 4, no. And they go a very poor looking platform game.
Yeah, and anything that I saw in the VR stuff, for me, nothing I saw made me think, gosh, that's going to make my gaming experience more immersive.
Exactly.
Because I think if you don't have a more immersive experience for the wearing of the headset and the headphones, what are you doing it for?
Exactly.
You know, what are you doing it for?
That's it. Look at if we go back to Paris Games Week, right? They showed a game there, Detroit, fantastic looking game.
Oh yeah, but clearly they've got nothing else to show at this point, Ricky.
That's it. What are they trying to do? What's the point in teasing us with a tiny wee, even if it's a tech demo of the game, and then going, but we're not going to do anything about it now?
So based on past form, Detroit's a 2017 title.
Yes, unless we go by the fact that this generation, on both sides, there has been numerous delays for numerous reasons. So maybe not even see it before 2018. And by that time, this generation of consoles is going to be, shall we say, dying.
Well, though, I think you'll already be starting to look at whatever the PS5 is and whatever the hell we're going to call the next generation Xbox. There's some discussion.
The Xbox 2.
Yeah. I do wonder, though, if having been stung by the challenges in terms of the technical inferiority of the Xbox One relative to the PS4 in terms of the hardware and its ability to kind of generate stuff on screen, whether they might go flat out and produce something really, really difficult to match for the next one.
That's possible, but that's maybe 3 or 4 years down the road, David.
Oh,
the problem is these players that they're saying they're doing this for, they're wanting games now. I mean, I'm 40 next year. This is probably the last generation of consoles that I'm going to be, writing about and, talking to members of communities and this and that and the other.
Hey, mate, don't be surprised. It carries on. Surprisingly,
I will still carry on. It's just this will be the last generation that I'm going to, shall we say, comment on. Simply because by the time the new consoles are coming out, it's Magic Leap are going to have their boxes. And my kids aren't. I know my kids. My kids aren't going to be interested in PlayStations or Xboxes. They're going to want something that they can turn on and the thing appears in their room.
For sure.
And that's what Magic Leap are going to offer, and that's what HoloLens is offering. Now, I dare say these things are going to be quite expensive, but if they can reduce the cost and it still works the same way, I don't see why HoloLens, because it's augmented reality, that would be the next big thing without Magic Leap.
There are two things that I've seen on HoloLens that were kind of real wow moments. One of them, which was I think it was at E3 and possibly also at Gamescom, and that was the Minecraft.
Yes.
The Minecraft demo, which being able to walk around and look at things in different and zoom right in and for me that looks as though that could be incredible fun.
Yes.
The other one, which I have seen video of, is the Halo Warzone briefing that you get before going on to play Warzone multiplayer, and you wore a HoloLens going into a UNSC briefing room and then walked out towards the gaming area, and then they took the HoloLens off you. But as you walked past a window, you were looking out onto the hangar deck of the UNSC Infinity, and there were pelicans flying out and people wandering around, and it was like, whoa, that is amazing.
It's like the Magic Leap thing, the Magic Leap tech demo, right? The one that you see on our website, it's done in a school gym hall, right? And no one, not one member of the audience is wearing like any kind of glasses or any kind of headsets or anything like that. Obviously there's a couple of people in the audience who actually, like myself, wear glasses.
Sure.
But there's no tech on anybody or anything like that. I dare say there's a couple of people with iPhones plugged in or whatever. So they start the demo and the guy talks for maybe 10 seconds and then whoosh, cut. You actually see it's as though they turn the gym hall floor into like a part of the ocean. You see a blue whale leap out of the water and splash back in. And it splashes into the floor and you're like, did I see that right? And you've rewind. The first time I seen it, I rewound it, and
Yeah.
I looked at it and I went, they all have to be wearing some kind of tech. And I'm looking through the audience, and I'm going, there's nobody wearing anything.
Yeah.
What is this? And the more I read about it, the more I'm going, yeah, this is the future. This is what it's going to be. It's not going to be console gaming as we know it. It's going to be AR gaming. That's what it's going to be. Virtual reality, the VR headsets, as we said, that I think Sony are banking everything on VR being more popular than what it's going to be. And I think they're going to be sorely disappointed. I think the first 3 months, they're going to be handing us, oh, we've sold this many VR units and that many VR units and this many VR units. And then suddenly, oh, we've sold this many consoles and that many consoles. But we're not telling you how many VR units we've sold this month because it's only 2. I think that's what's going to happen. I think VR is going to be a miserable failure, and they're going to have let down.
People were moaning the head off of Microsoft for releasing a peripheral at $150 when they released Kinect.
Yes.
And then at $99, which it eventually ended up with, they're still saying, oh, that's too expensive. And still moaned about it. What are people going to do when they've got something that plugs into your console and is effectively just projecting the game, but runs a processor, 2 high-definition screens, a battery pack, which will be, I don't know what size, and to do that, that's $400 or $500 each.
Exactly.
To start with. Now, it might get cheaper, but let's remember, I think I paid $429 for my Xbox One on day one. You tell me seriously you're going to be able to do a VR headset with all that gudgeons for less?
No chance. I can't see the VR headsets being any less than £400.
Absolutely. I think,
which is more expensive than the console it's designed for. So straight away, it's going to fail on that alone. Unless they're going to put it out at about £150 to £200, it's going to fail.
Yeah, plus $200 a pop. So I think that the lack of a sizable audience, unless you practically give them away and subsidize them massively, and I don't think financially that's a smart thing to do. Without that, I don't see how you get a substantial audience.
Exactly.
And what you have is a lot of very unhappy PlayStation 4 console owners.
Exactly. And as we've already said, it's beyond the mark now. I think I actually think that they're disrespecting their fans by saying, oh, look, we're actually hedging our bets on all you 30 million people or whatever it is gone out and buying this headset. A lot of people aren't going to do that. And I think that they've forgot that and they haven't realised that. There are people who can't even afford it. There are people who can't even afford to buy PlayStation 4s or to buy games now, but are still going out and buying the games. And I think it's awfully unfair, a company, especially a company like PlayStation, to then say to people, right, you're skint because you're buying this, so we're going to make you even more skint. And on top of that, we're then going to rob you of the joy of playing really old games.
By getting you to pay for them as well.
By making you pay for it. And I think we're drawn to the end of our time here, David. So I think we can safely conclude that, as I said at the end of part 1, the backwards compatibility thing is more aimed at the younger gamer who is going to complain about, high def textures and all that nonsense, noddy garbage that goes with that. And I think we can safely say that PlayStation experience was a damp squib. It wasn't. There was nothing that stood out that said, I'm buying the console just to play that. There was nothing like that. Nothing whatsoever. It was a joke. And then they had the tech demo, which was a joke for VR. They told us there's over 200 games in development for VR. Now, is that 200 true VR games, or is that 200 games, some of which are compatible with VR? Or they're all compatible with VR, but some are strictly VR and some are not so strictly VR?
If you try to just bolt on VR and just make it as a way to see a 3D experience, I think that will get tired fairly quickly.
Yes.
you have to figure out what the completely brilliant thing is about having a VR headset, and then do that so that it's different from, do you know what, see if I had a 3D TV and a pair of 3D glasses, I can do the same thing.
That's it. That's it.
You know,
Exactly. Now, that's us, folks. We're drawn to the end of our time this week. This has been episode 14 of Super Game Bros. This has been a Backwards Experience. I'm the host, Ricky McMillan. My colleague this evening is David Morris. We were hoping it's snowy. She joined us earlier on, but she had microphone issues and had to leave. Super Game Bros is sponsored by No Scope Gaming Glasses, G2A.com and Maltese.co.uk. If you have any questions about anything that you hear on Super Game Bros, then drop us a line at Super Game Bros at ramblemedia.co, or you can contact myself on Twitter at PapaChio3. And for us this week, that's a game over. Now, obviously, a lot of you probably won't agree with what we've said tonight, but we think that PlayStation and the way they're treating their fans, or I do anyway, is a joke, and I'm a PlayStation fan. So, but that's our opinion. If you do have any questions or any comments, please don't be scared to drop us a line. Thanks for joining me, David.
you're very welcome.
And that's us. Game over, folks. Goodbye.